Hello and welcome to this edition of Safety First. I'm your host, Frank Poulin. Today we're here with Lieutenant Chandler of the Suffolk Police Department, and we're going to talk about that most important month, Distracted Driver Awareness Month, that you should definitely remember all year. Thanks for joining me, Lieutenant.
Thank you for having me.
Now, what is the significance of the month that is Driver Awareness Month?
Well, the month of April is Driver Awareness Month because we want drivers to understand the importance of putting the phones down and actually paying attention to what's going on the roadway.
Okay.
There are a great deal of crashes that occur every year, and right here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, where distracted driving is a major factor.
Okay. And when we talk about distracted driving, we're not just talking about cell phones and texts and stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of stuff that encompasses distracted driving, correct?
It is. Anything that takes your focus off of the roadway is considered a distraction.
All right.
That can be something as simple as the radio. That can be the children in the back of the car. It can be a number of things that create a driver distraction.
Okay, an environment where you're just not keeping your eyes on the road, and especially in this day and age when, I know my commute this week has been especially full with lots of drivers that you take your eyes off the road for 1 second and you're in a crash.
And in today's times, we have so many different distractions. As you said, we also have the cell phone, which is a major distraction.
Yes.
We have iPods. We have all types of different things that we can manipulate right inside the car, which help in daily lives, but they can end up hurting when you're trying to actually focus on driving.
Absolutely. And what are the laws on the books in the state of Virginia for if you are distracted while driving? There are penalties, correct?
There are penalties, and the most known one is for the texting while driving, which mainly focuses on any type of text type communication.
Okay.
So that's not just text messages, but that's also reading or trying to send or manipulate emails, which a lot of people do on their phones or their iPads or whatever the case may be. Any type of communication that uses text is not legal.
Okay. So it's not just text messaging, it's if you're typing an email, if you're trying to type in an address, or if you're just trying to look up the nearest subway.
If you're posting on Facebook.
Okay.
Now there is an exemption in the law for GPS systems.
Is there? Okay.
And actually dialing phone numbers.
Okay.
That is a specific exemption within the law.
Okay.
However, it's important to understand that even though that is not against the law, it still can be extremely dangerous, because what many don't understand is generally just to sit and look at your phone, you're going to usually do that for at least a second and a half. Most of the time it's 5 seconds that you're looking at your phone. At 55 miles an hour, 5 seconds with your eyes off the roadway, that's enough time for you to your vehicle to travel the length of a football field.
Wow.
So in that amount of time, a lot of things can happen.
So basically my next question was going to be how quickly can kind of a deadly crash happen, and you basically just answered it.
At the blink of an eye. And these things happen. They're not uncommon. As a matter of fact, last year, 8 of 10 crashes were attributed to some form of distracted driving here in Virginia.
Wow. That's a huge kind of increase over what we saw even 10 years ago.
Correct.
Okay. And what kind of tips would you offer both, young and old people and everyone in between, I guess, while driving to not be distracted?
A lot of the cell phone companies have come up with different things, such as apps that you can put on your phone that will actually disable the phone.
Okay.
That's good for your young drivers. Another thing that's good is just to simply turn the phone off, turn it on silent.
Okay.
Allow the passenger to manipulate the phone if needed.
Okay.
So all these things are of assistance. Pulling over, there are other things that you need to do, and pulling over off the roadway onto a place that is safe.
Yes.
And manipulating what you need to, taking care of the children, or if you need to lean down, something has fallen, spilled in the car. Eating while driving, that's another one. That's very big. And when you
coffee spills or anything like that, you're swerving.
You're moving all over the car, you're on the passenger side. A lot of times just going on and pulling over is going to allow you to do it safely and actually do a better job of cleaning up or picking it up or whatever you do.
Absolutely, and I have to admit I'm certainly guilty of that.
I've been guilty a time or two myself.
Now, as a parent, what advice can you offer to make sure that, a parent sets a good example while driving so that kids, kids obviously pick up personality and traits and everything else from their parents. So what advice would you offer a parent?
Be a good example.
Okay.
And we have all, most of the time, fallen short there.
That's correct.
The old adage of do what I say and not what I do does not work with this generation.
Yeah.
So they have to actually see us doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Turning off that phone, putting it to silent, putting it aside.
Setting it aside and making that secondary to driving. Mm-hmm. Driving is your primary responsibility because ultimately it can cost lives.
Absolutely. And any other thoughts or tips you'd like to offer for Distracted Driver Awareness Month?
Well, it's just important it's very important that drivers just begin to practice being safe behind the wheel. Mm-hmm. Just practice keeping your eyes on the roadway, keeping your attention focused on the roadway, and it's something that grows as you practice it, as you think about it, as you talk about it. So hopefully this information will spark some conversation so it'll be in the forefront of everyone's mind so we can stay safe here in Virginia.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Lieutenant Chandler.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this edition of Safety First, and make sure you take a few tips from today and practice this not just this month, but the entire year to make sure your distracted driving doesn't lead to an accident. Thanks for joining us.